Page 11, I gave my love a cherry. For this piece, let's talk about it just a bit. It has one sharp, it's in the key of G major. If you haven't done it yet, I suggest you go to the video I put out on the G major scale and learn it. I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm going to start with the right hand. At the beginning, you're down here, second finger on D. And the first full measure, you're playing the B and the D. The B is a whole note. It's 4 counts in 4/4 time, which is what this is. So you're going to hold that down while you play those D's above it, right? Right, hold it down. Next measure, you're playing a C and an E. You got to hold the C down for the whole measure. So in this piece, the bottom note in the right hand is usually held down, okay? And you do that even though the pedal is down, you still hold it down with the finger. Don't rely on the pedal. As you're learning this piece, you should learn it without pedal anyway first. Play it, without. And then at the end you add the pedal, and I'll talk about the pedal in a minute. The hand will move around a little bit. In the right hand, you're starting here. In the last 3 measures, you're here. And then the last note in the first line. Then you're going up, second finger on the G. So you're here. You gotta go to here. Just know you can do that. Practice that move if you have to, so you can do that quickly. In the last line, in the first measure, look at the fingering. We have a 2, a 1, and then a 2. I like that fingering. That's a good fingering. For the left hand, for the most part, you just got these chords. It's a matter of holding them down the correct number of beats. In the first line in the last measure, keep in mind that is a dotted half note, right? So, well, both hands it is, so both hands, the chords end at the same time. So you lift them both, 2, 3, so that G is by itself. In the left hand, you're starting down here. Then in the second line, see, you got to move. You get a quarter rest to do it in, but you got to move up to here. Then second measure, 5/1 is fine for that chord. And then a 5/3, and then an octave again. And then for the last note in the second line, that is index finger on that D, because you got an E coming up. And yes, that's an E. Just memorize it, know what it is. Then for the last line, the left hand comes back down here. For the last measure, you go back where you started. So you can work out those hand movements slowly, you'll be okay. Practice this one hand at a time for a while if you have to. I want to talk a little bit about the fingering. Left hand's fine, just do what they're telling you to do. But the fingering in the right hand, I don't know. They're making it a little harder than they need to, I think. At the beginning here, look at the last 3 measures of the first line. The 3 measures, last 3, okay. They're saying a 1/3 on the C and the E. They're saying then play the G with the 5th finger and then substitute the 4th for it. The reason is because you need the 5th finger for the A. That's fine, but it's unnecessary in this case, because you can just as easily, from the C and the E, you can just as easily play the G with the 4th finger to start with. Just reach up and play it. Right. And if you can do that, you don't need to substitute the finger. Now, in the next to the last measure, you have the C and the G with a 1 and 4. Then play the E with the 3rd finger. And then you're ready to go to the last measure. In the second line, second measure, same thing. You're here. You don't need to do a 5, substitute a 4. If you can just play the D with the 4th finger to start with. It's up to you. One time try it one way and another time try it another if you want. I like finger substitutions. They're fun. I do them a lot. It's just in this case, it's unnecessary. Someone asked me Why do a finger substitution if the pedal's down? Because the pedal's going to hold the note down. In the third to the last measure on the first line, where they're telling you a finger substitution, well, they're saying, the person who asked, saying, why do a finger substitution? Because I could just as easily do the 1 and 5 here and then just go ahead and use a 5 here. Because the pedal will connect the sound, and I'm saying you do it to feel the melody. We want to feel this melody. And it's harder to feel a melody if you're using the same note, same finger on multiple notes that are different pitches. It feels like a different phrase, two different phrases, and it's not. We want to feel it more or less like it's written. That same problem in the second line, it's second measure, it's here. Well, if I don't do a finger substitution, then it's another phrase. I don't want to feel that. I want to feel it that way. So it doesn't matter if the pedal's down or not. There's more going on than the sound is what I'm trying to say, I guess. Let's talk about the pedal. They are showing pretty much legato pedaling throughout most of this. I'd like to change that slightly. At the beginning is fine, but when I get to the end of the first line, they're saying keep it down throughout that measure and change it at the next measure. And I disagree. I want to hear a break in the phrase here. So I am saying, I also want to hear that rest. I am saying lift the pedal up with the hands at the end of the dotted half note. Here, 1, 2, 3. And let the G be by itself, no pedal on the G. Then go on to the next measure, and then push the pedal down after you play the notes in the next measure. Okay? And that way we get a break there. At the end of the second line, same thing. You have a dotted half note to start with, pedals down. I say lift the pedal with the hands at the end of the dotted half note and play that D by itself, and then put the pedal down after you play the first note in the next measure. Now in the third line, I don't like the mushiness on pedal. If I play it the way they've got it, it's this. And to me, that's too mushy. It's too bleh. So I would recommend that you lift the pedal up at the end of the first measure, and you don't put it down again until after you play the notes in the third measure. So you're not pedaling the second measure at all. It's this. To me, that sounds better. You can decide which you like better. At the end of the third line, last measure, you have that fermata and the pedals down. Lift the pedal up with the hand at the end of the half note, so you get a little silence before you play the B. And those 2 quarter notes were no pedal, they're by themselves. And then you push the pedal down after you play the notes in the last line. Then at the end of the piece, that whole note, you lift the pedal up and the hands up all at the same time at the end of 4 beats. Got all that? Not a problem, right? This has words to it, and there's 3 verses, which means you could, if you want, play it 3 times. It's up to you. If you want to sing it, go right ahead. I ain't singing it, but you can if you want. Since it is in 4/4 time, we're counting quarter notes. I don't know if you're getting the dotted rhythm okay. I guess we should talk about that briefly in case you're having a problem. At the first line there, they have a dotted rhythm right off the bat. So it's 4, you have a pickup as 4, right? 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. So the dotted half note gets 1 1/2 counts, or 3 eighth notes, and then you play an eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 is what the dotted rhythm is. It's the only dotted rhythm in the piece, but hopefully you get it. The fermata in the third line, I'm going to hold 4 counts instead of 2 because I'm playing with a metronome. I just double the value. Bring out the melody. We need to hear the melody above everything else. At the beginning it says piano, P for soft, that's melody. So if the melody is soft, everything else has to be softer than that. We want to hear the melody, okay? That may take some practice. It has a pickup beat, so I'm going to give us 3 counts and we'll play it together. So right hand is here, left hand's here, foot's on the pedal. Here we go. 1, ready, go.